I'll be taking this session on class 12 CBSE AI curriculum. You will be having lots of questions, I know. So just keep them. I have dedicated a special, hour for just questions. So I'll try and answer as many as I can. So as you already know, CBSE came with the new AI curriculum in the beginning of the year, and we have a total of 8 chapters. These are the various chapters. Along with this, they have to do one capstone project, which they begin in class 11th and they have to complete in class 12th. Also, they have to fill the project documentation. So I will touch upon all these parts. And as per my experience, I'll also tell you, which parts you need to focus on. First of all, when you are bringing your students from class 11 to class 12, these 3 chapters, they should be thorough with. At least unit 6, they must be completely thorough with this chapter because the entire, data science methodology and of course the capstone project, the foundation is unit 6 of class 11th. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're starting with class 12th. Okay, so I begin with unit 1. This is, a brought forward from class 11th that you will be revising the topics like NumPy, Pandas. In this, you will be covering data frames. And of course, when you're uploading a CSV file into a data frame, you'll also talk to them about the various data cleaning methods, how to handle missing values, how to handle if you want to convert categorical data into numerical data and vice versa. Also, you have to focus on simple linear regression. Later on in the data methodology chapter, we'll also talk about, doing simple linear regression using Python code. So if you want, you can teach them this here itself. They must have done some portion of it in class 11th. So this is a complete recap of class 11. Plus, if you're thinking of doing a very good project, you could think of introducing the Streamlit library. Streamlit is an open source Python library that helps you develop web applications. You actually developing a web browser for your project. Okay, and you're developing projects in Python. You already know you have to give the inputs in the ideally, or if you're doing it in a Jupyter notebook, then the Jupyter environment is open. But if you have a browser, in the browser you're entering data, and then the output is also being shown on the browser. That means you can generate a link and carry that anywhere. So this is possible through the Streamlit library. So you can use the Streamlit library as an extension of your Python capstone project. Now, all this is given in the book. Introduction to the Streamlit library has been given, as well as a project using the Streamlit library has also been given. The code as well as the link to the project is given in the book. So teachers trying to use Streamlit, you have to upload the code in GitHub, and then you have to deploy the model in Streamlit. Okay, Streamlit Community Cloud. This is essential if suppose you do not have ideally on your laptop, for example, or you having some problem on your system, then online you can still deploy your model. So you upload it, the steps are given in the book. You upload the Python py file as well as the data source, the data set on GitHub, and then you deploy on Streamlit. So all the steps are given. This is a sample of the exam score predictor that I have done with my students. This is a web browser window generated. I have the link also, then I can share the link with my students. So I just enter the number of hours studied, and then I click on predict score. This is a button that I'm generating through code. Okay, and then the predicted score is given that if I'm studying something like 3.5 hours or probably a little more than 3 hours, then I'm getting around 62 in marks. So, and the sample training data is something that I have shown to my students because was working on this project. So this is how you can also use Streamlit in your projects, and it really takes your projects to a higher level. Then we come to the unit 2, that is data science methodology. I would suggest that you start with this unit, okay, because they have to do their capstone project. So you can start with this methodology. They would know the entire steps of the methodology. Then you could do Python and then later probably orange data mining. So that, the part where they have to work on the projects, that is done in one go. Okay, in this, you have to do all these 10 steps. This is the methodology cycle that you have to concentrate on. So you have to do all these steps. And if you see the CBSE handbook as well as my book, you would see that there is, a recurring question that is there for every step. So each step will explain the various parts of that problem. For example, in my book, I have used the supermarket problem, that in the supermarket there is the problem of stock. The stock goes out of the quantity is always less, so you have to keep updating your stock. So what methodology would you use? So this is the recurring problem that is solved using all these 10 steps, and all the examples are given in the book. So these are the key concepts that you'll have to explain to your students, starting from various business understanding. Then you come to the problem approach, where you are trying to understand whether you're going to do a descriptive or a prescriptive approach. Okay, then the various data requirements. At this time, you could also talk to them about the various challenges to, data collection also, because when you're collecting data, there are lots of challenges you encounter. So then exploring the data, understanding the data, preparing the data for usage. If you see a simple data set from Kaggle also, it will be having certain missing values. So how do you clean that data? How do you handle that data? So all this you can talk to them. And then we start with AI modeling. Now in the AI modeling, do not just jump into the Python code. Complete the chapter and then you could go to the Python code part. Okay. And then in the evaluation, when you're talking about model assessment, there are two, three things which I will cover in the forthcoming slides. And you will also talk to them about deployment and, of course, feedback. So when you're talking about, model evaluation phase, you're talking to them about the train test split and the cross validation. Now, this is a very, very important topic from exam point of view. Even in the old curriculum, we had questions from these two topics in every question paper. Every year we had the questions. So do talk to them about these two approaches. What is the difference in these two approaches? Also, the diagram is important. When you're explaining through the diagram, it puts a very good picture across to the examiner. So they must know the diagram also. It is not necessary that they draw elaborate diagrams. A simple diagram is more than enough. Okay. Then, of course, when you're talking to them about evaluation, you will also talk to them about, the kind of evaluation metrics that are to be used. So you'll be talking to them about RMSE and MSE. They must know the MSE and RMSE calculation. In the old curriculum, this was given as a question in the sample paper. So I have always asked my students that they should be able to do the calculations on pen and paper also. They, of course, can do it in Excel. That is no problem. But if it comes in the exam, so they should be able to do it on pen and paper. You may be given the linear regression equation. From there, you have to calculate the y predicted, or in the question, you might be given the y actual and the y predicted values. There are two types of questions where you are given the x and y values and you are given the linear regression equation. So from there, you putting the values in the equation, you calculate the y predicted, or in the question, you're giving the y and the y predicted values, actual and predicted values in the beginning itself. So even from there, you calculate the MSE and RMSE. So this, students have to do. There is one thing that you need to pay attention to. Try and give small values, because this is a lengthy calculation. So if you give them larger values, that much time they are taking to calculate. So try and give smaller values. Also, when you're talking about evaluation, then you also have to talk to them about the confusion matrix. Now this is something they've already done in class 10th, so this part you might not have problem teaching them again. Okay, of course, the various metrics of the confusion matrix, you'll have to talk to them about accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score, balanced and imbalanced data sets, all that, because we will be creating a confusion matrix in orange data mining. Okay, so what you could do is you can touch upon this and make them do all the calculations again on pen and paper. Fine. So these are the various courses on data science methodology. Since it's a huge chapter, I thought that, even as teachers as well as students, you could go through these courses. Data science methodology on skills build you must have already seen if you have enrolled on skills build. Otherwise, even this one, the third one, cognitiveclass.ai, this is a beautiful course, and these are all free courses. So you can enroll and have you can do these courses and have your students also do these courses. It will only enhance their learning. You can add the certificates in your practical files. Okay. Next, I come to Orange data mining tool. As I told you, if you want to, have the students start with their capstone projects, so it's important that you do the data science methodology, the Python programming chapter, and Orange data mining tool chapter in the beginning itself. So that at least, all these three topics are covered, then students can start working on their projects. At least they can start brainstorming, finding out the data sets, checking out the data, the challenges of the data they might face. So because when I did this orange data mining tool with my students, they loved this tool so much that they have decided, most of them, that they would do their projects using this tool only. So there'll be a complete change of heart when they do this chapter, because if they are thinking of doing the Python project, they would love this chapter so much that they would do their project in orange data mining. It's such a wonderful chapter. Okay, so you will be talking to them about what is orange data mining. There are various widgets. Widgets are your actual tools or elements with which you are doing all the work in orange data mining. So if you see the image here, okay, the file widget is there, the scatter plot widget is there, the data table widget is there. So these are all drag and drop elements that you will be doing on your stage or canvas. Okay, so you will be creating your various workflows. You can see the image here. This is a workflow. Okay, so I've just taken a data set, attached it to a data table, and from here I'm generating the scatter plot. When you double click on any widget, you will see the output also. So they would love working with all these elements, and you will be exploring all the widgets with the AI domains. So with the data science, you'll be doing linear classification, linear regression and binary classification with them. All the data sets are available on Kaggle. The links have been given in my book also. So you will not have any problem locating the data sets. As well as in NLP, you will be doing text pre-processing. The steps as well as the screenshots are given. Also, in computer vision, you will be doing the image classification. This is a beautiful method of doing image classification in orange data mining. You just have to upload the main folder where you have all the images, and the rest of the work is done by orange. So it becomes so simple for students. And as I told you, they would love working. Since I was touching about the projects, so I thought I'll talk to you about the capstone project in the beginning itself. Okay, there are two
Excuse
options
me, ma'am.
available. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, is this advantageous for the grade 10 students also? Because I think the same topic are running in a grade 10 also.
Ma'am, the level is quite higher in class 12. Okay,
Okay.
other than this thing, orange data mining, you have linear regression and binary classification also using Python code. So the level
पैसा
is
पढ़ा रहे
quite
हैं
high.
एआई का जो सिलेबस नया है ना
Please mute
Can
yourself.
we all mute ourselves, please?
Yeah, please you mute yourself, because then otherwise it becomes very difficult. So I would also request you would please keep your questions. I will answer all questions by the end of the session. Okay, so since I was, talking to you about these three units which are important for your capstone project, I thought I'll touch with the capstone project in the very beginning only. Okay, so there are two options for you. You could use the Python code to create your projects, or you could use a no-code, low-code platform. Okay, in the Python code, you would have all these options. You can create a simple linear regression model. So in that, you have the salary prediction, house price prediction. As I said, all the data sets are available in Kaggle, and there are various examples given in the book also. Then you have the simple binary classification. Okay, in that you have the heart disease prediction, the diabetes prediction, and the chatbot you can create using Python code. Okay, now in this, if you want for your students, you can add the Streamlit. library to enhance their interactivity. So you develop a web browser link and that you can share also. Okay, there are again various examples in the book. There is a whole project section that has been given as part C. So you can go through the book and see that. Then you come to no code projects using the Orange data mining tool. Again, in that you can do the same thing, but using Orange data mining tool. Okay, you can add on to the NLP aspect also. You can do a sentiment analysis that has been touched as a project in the book. And as I said, the image classification can also be done. Now, other no code projects, even other than this, if your students want to explore certain platforms, then what you can do is you can touch upon PictoBlocks, MIT App Inventor, or ask them to, create chatbots using Botsify or Google Dialogflow. So these options are also available, though I would suggest that you could, stick to the curriculum. But if they want to explore further, it's always up to the students again. Okay, this is a simple linear regression workflow that is given in the book also. This is a very simple linear regression. The data set you upload in the file widget, okay, and then you give the linear regression model and you are able to create and you can, take your test and score. You can see the predictions being made. So very simple in Orange tool, and I'm sure your students will start loving it. I've done this chapter with my students and they really love this chapter. Okay, now what are the capstone project requirements? As per CBSE, you have to give the full working project. Okay, that is on the day of the exam, you have to show the whole project to the examiner. So, and you create a 3-minute video about the project. In that, you have to include reasons for choosing the project, an introduction about the project, the challenges you faced, any challenges if you face, the screen recording of the project, okay, and any lessons or insights gained. All this, when they start with their Python project, the capstone project, then you could talk to them about the other chapters. Now you start with the other chapters. So we'll start with making machines see, that is on computer vision. This is one of my favorite topics also, because there are lots of games that you can play with the students. Okay, so you talk to them about how machines see. So you can do a pixel activity. This is given in the book where, using the keyboard, they create various shapes on the Excel sheet. This chapter, you have to talk about, what is the computer vision process. So you'll have to talk about localization, segmentation. Then you have to talk about multiple objects, single object in images, all that. So that is quite a lengthy topic. So, but various examples are given in the book, the various applications and challenges of computer vision. And, for a practical activity, you could do teachable machine activity, or you could do the OpenCV activity. Again, this is in Python code. So if you feel that your students are not able to do Python code, it's okay. This is only for the practical aspect. So leave that and go to the teachable machine activity. Teachable machine you're already doing from class 9, 10. So I don't think you'll have any problem doing it with your students also. Okay, then you have the big data chapter, and as well as we touch about data analytics in this. You talk to them about what is big data, the 6 V's of big data. Okay, and you have to talk to them about descriptive, prescriptive, diagnostic tool. All that was there in data methodology chapter also. It is in great detail in this chapter. Okay, so if you've already done it in detail in the unit, data methodology unit, then you can skip that part here. And you'd also talk to them about mining data streams, careers in big data analytics. For the practical aspect, you could do the Orange data mining example that is given in the book. Okay. And as well as, you could make them plot various bar charts or pie charts or scatter plots using Excel or Python code. Okay, so that will become a good practical for you. So that you can do in this chapter. After that, you have the neural network. Neural network is quite technical, but that forms the basis of, college curriculum also. The neural network chapter is there in the college curriculum also. So a small foundation is there in class 12. Now, all these topics, what is a neural network, parts of a neural network, components of a neural network, the different working of neural network, different types of neural network, all that is there in this chapter, along with, you explain then what is an activation function. Now, since this is quite technical also, so when I was doing this chapter, I included lots of examples for the teachers, so that, when you're teaching, you can use these examples to teach your students. Students will also read these examples, and grasping this chapter will become better and easier. For the practical component, there are lots of games also available, which I found on the internet. So that has also been included in the chapter. You could create a neural network in Python code. This is again for the advanced learners. You could play with them on the TensorFlow background. Incidentally, TensorFlow has a lot of, versions available on the net. So you could pick any. And then you have something like a perceptron visualizer. So this is the image that I've given. So they can just, click, 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 and then they'll be able to visualize the neural network also. Perceptron is the simplest neural network. Okay. And then they can create, an AI model on machine learning for kids.com. This is website which uses Scratch. Okay. So very simple AI model they can create, and then see the neural network working. That is also there in the book. Plus there were various games that I had found, so that have also been given. There is something called as a piano genie game. So when they click on the press the keys on the keyboard, the corresponding piano keys are pressed, and then the neural network is generating a symphony. So that's a very interesting game. The gradient descent game is there. So all these games are included, so that I found that this chapter is quite technical, as I told you. So as I tried and incorporated various games, so that students like studying this chapter, and you are also able to teach it in a better manner also. Then we come to generative AI. Generative AI, I remember when we had a meeting with Dr. R.P. Singh in CBSE, this was one that he had given the topic, that, on popular demand, certain teachers must have approached him, and generative AI is one topic that he had asked to be incorporated in the curriculum. Now, when I was making this chapter, and I'm very thankful to those teachers, they reached out to me and they said that we must include a portion on prompt engineering. Okay, so though prompt engineering is not there in the curriculum, but how to create meaningful prompts. So that portion has been given in this chapter. You could teach your students how to create effective prompts, because this is something, a skill that they need to learn. Generative AI is here to stay. Ethical and social concerns of generative AI do touch upon. There are lots of things which are happening in our world now using generative AI. So you need to talk to them about ethics and social concerns. Also, something like citing sources with generative AI. We as Indians, we never cite our sources. Okay, now this is something which, my students, when they have gone abroad and they have worked on any assignments, they have come back and told me that in the first assignment they were failed by their corresponding professors. And I'd asked them the reason. They said, ma'am, because we did not cite the source of our research work for the assignment. And this is something we have never done in our school. Or, even in India, we don't do this. We do not teach them how to cite the sources. It's okay if they're taking an inspiration of some source. So teach them how to cite that source. There is a particular way of citing sources. So that has also been given in the book. Also, this chapter will be covering about the various large language models, applications of generative AI. You will be touching on that. Okay. There are lots of hands-on activities in the chapter where you are using the generative AI to generate music, to create a script, create a movie. So all these steps and the screenshots are given in the book. Then we come to the last chapter, that is data storytelling. This is one of the chapters that is from the old curriculum. And other than the old curriculum, there are lots of additions to this chapter also. So you'll talk to students about the various types of data and their visualizations, the examples of data stories. There are various data stories and their examples, as well as the QR code, have been given in the book. The new thing that has been incorporated is the Freytag's pyramid. Okay, using the Freytag pyramid, now you have to generate a data story. So as I said, when you are, doing this with your students, the first time when I did this chapter with my student, so they could not think of a data story. So I started giving them examples, and the same I've done in my book also. I've given sample data stories in the book. So, at least you see this data story, and then you start, your mind starts working, and then you start obviously creating your own. So in the Freytag's pyramid, you have these five points: the introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. So when a student has to create a data story, then they are at a loss. They know the concept, they know, the conclusion, that this would be the beginning and this would be the conclusion, but how to make the various, stages and how to write it out, that will be your biggest challenge. So have them go through the various samples in the book, and then you can create your data story. Also, till now, in the old curriculum, in the question papers, you have been given two data stories and you have to select the better data story. Other than that, please ask your students to, create a data story. Go give them a data, some data like this. Again, this is something which is given in the book, and have them create a data story. Now, this is something my student had done. So that is why I've taken this screenshot. This is the same screenshot my designer has made in the book itself. Okay, but this is something that my student had created, and I was so happy. I gave full marks to that student. So, a simple data, this is something you pick from the internet and have them create the data story. You will have to give them proper practice in class for this, and this will take a little bit of time. So, make them go through the various steps of creating a data story. Also, this Venn diagram is important. In this year's paper, if you see, there was one single question on how do good stories emerge. Okay, and so this Venn diagram is very important. If the student draws this Venn diagram in the exam, I can assure you, visuals always have more meaning than text. So it will be better for the students only. So explain all the three elements of a data story: the narrative, the visual, and the data. The various steps of creating a data story, and make them sit down with pen and paper and create their data stories. Okay, so with this, I come to the end of my presentation. I'm open now to questions. If you have any questions, you can ask them, and I'll try and answer as many as I can.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening,
This
Preetha
is
ma'am.
yes, I am from Chennai. Like, I want to know how many students can be there in Capstone project group?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, if you go through the CBSE
Yeah,
curriculum,
I
they're
noticed
saying
that.
minimum 3.
Uh,
They're saying minimum 3.
okay,